You guys know modern art?
Yes.
No.
Okay, so modern art, specifically abstract expressionism. You know the shit.
Why did you say yes? You know modern art.
The shit.
NFTs.
No,
Jesus
fuck
Christ.
you. The shit where it's like the shit.
Yes, I am familiar with the lore of the bored ape.
Okay,
Anyways,
so contemporary art.
Modern art is a CIA psychological operation, and I proved it. Well, I know it for a fact. I went to make a video, and I just like fat files. I was like, I just want to shit on this because I think it's stupid. And then I better Google it for 5 minutes first because I don't want to be the asshole that like says something dumb because I didn't Google it for 5 seconds. And I was like, oh,
That makes you way better than the comment section.
this is a psychological operation, and it's like proven fact. So in the 1940s, right after World War II, the United States government, like the Cold War started. Like it is now, the culture war's on. Like it is America versus the USSR, capitalism versus communism. We got to win at everything. Okay, we got to have the most nuclear warheads. We got to have the fastest planes with the most guns, but also we got to have the best music. We got to have the most Olympic medals. We got to have the best fucking art, right? And it's really hard to do that culturally if you stick to the norm, right? Because if you want to do like classical music against communist countries, it's like, well, fuck, they're just going to shove a violin in a 2-year-old's hands and make them play it 18 hours a day till they're the best in the world.
Which is why the Chinese.
We don't want to compete with that shit.
A lot of things now.
So America used American tax dollars to start funding jazz because the communists don't have that. Right? Because jazz was just developed by people that could afford an instrument and do it for fun. You can't do that shit under communism. So they started promoting jazz all over the world. Okay? And then it's like, oh, well, what's jazz lead to?
So they weren't funding it, but they were.
No, they were funding it.
They weren't funding jazz necessarily, but like they were advertising jazz or promoting jazz, or what
Were
was
they paying jazz?
Okay, so
were they paying the musicians?
Initially, in a couple years after, they started promoting jazz and they started promoting modern art.
Okay.
The conservatives in the country fucking hated it.
Still
for,
do.
for obvious reasons,
Yeah,
right?
but now we have rap, which is awesome.
Right. So the conservatives hated it, so they had to stop immediately. So then the government's like, well, fuck, we want to fund this, but all the people that are voting don't want to fund it. So
Can I just take a moment for Cody?
What happened?
It's like, but black people.
and Eminem.
Sorry. He said that. Am I fucking wrong?
No, because like one of the biggest people they sponsored was Louis
Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong.
Yeah, Louis Armstrong.
And I think to myself, what a
Cody's
wonderful
a
world.
racist.
Yeah,
Cody's a fucking racist.
I never said that. Stop deflecting.
Anyways, the constituents didn't want it, and the government wanted it. So naturally, they're just going to give the money to the CIA and do it anyways, and not tell anybody, right? So they founded.
They would never.
They founded a giant shell corporation called the CCF, the Congress for Cultural Freedom, and the Congress for Cultural Freedom was like 20 fucking magazines. They owned news outlets. They owned everything, and they started giving out money to basically promote jazz, and they sent jazz musicians all around the world promoting jazz.
Real quick, I just want to say that is the most 1984 ass sounding name ever.
Yeah. It's
Congress for Cultural Freedom.
Yeah, it was founded in West Germany in 1950. I think it was June 23rd. Anyways, so they started promoting jazz, and jazz leads to rock and roll leads to metal, right? And then in October of 1991, fucking Metallica does a concert in Moscow.
Holy shit.
I was literally just going to
6 million people.
I was just about to say, you're telling me Metallica's a psyop.
Yes, kind of, indirectly, okay? Because, look, all I'm saying is like Metallica performs for 1.6 million Soviets in Moscow in October, and by December, the USSR doesn't fucking exist. Coincidence? I don't think so, okay? So, but with modern art in particular, it goes deeper because they can't they can't directly fund the modern art, right?
Squirrels, Morty. Hey, Morty.
They can't directly fund the modern art. So the CIA has to go to all these rich people in New York, and they're like, hey, if we pay for it, will you start an art foundation so we can start funneling money into all these artists, and we want to fund modern art? And all these rich people are like, you're going to give me money for free to buy art, and then I get to use it as a tax write-off? Fucking sure, why not? So all the rich famous people do that. They start funding all these modern artists. And that's why like Jackson Pollock, Rothko, de Kooning, all these abstract impressionist artists become fucking rock stars during their lifetime, which is weird because usually artists don't become famous till after they die.
Long time after they die.
So these guys all become super fucking famous, and they don't even realize that they're getting funded by the CIA indirectly, which is hilarious because half of them are communist sympathizers getting funded by the CIA to be used to fight communism by showing off the freedom they have because they don't live in communism, which is the real fucking art behind modern art, by the way. So they go and they make modern art popular, and the theory behind it is like the Soviets only do Soviet realism, you know, which is fucking stupid in the era of cameras, because Soviet realism is like, hey, take a picture of me, but do it with paint and make it take forever. That's dumb. Okay. The Soviets are over there with their like technique and their like refined art, and we're over here just fucking throwing paint at a canvas, and we're gonna win anyways. Okay. And it's because what is abstract expressionism is art for the sake of art, right, Connor? That's like the definition.
Breaking down art to its core principles.
Breaking down art to its core principles to do art for the sake of art, which is something you can't do under communism. Because like, you can be a paid artist in communism as long as you're willing to paint dope ass pictures of our glorious leader, and that's it.
To be fair, Meat Canyon's a pretty big fan of that.
Meat Canyon's fucking hilarious. Still probably the most scared I've ever been on this podcast.
It's like, I don't see a problem with that. I get a dope ass painting in palaces.
Not gonna lie, I'd probably have a different job if it weren't for that podcast.
That was definitely one of the.
That was one of the things of all time.
You know how altered the timeline would be if we just decided to not go back and finish that half of the podcast?
I always say this: they would have gone back further and found something else.
What do we blame?
They did such a shit job of finding things to call you out for, though, dude.
I kept looking. I'm like, man, there's like 6 things off the top of my head you could have attacked me for that you didn't even bother. That I would have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. You and shooting those Nazi machine guns.
I got a story that I'll tell on the podcast later.
They
I can't do it now, but I
Do it now.
can't. Why? But remind me.
Anyways,
later.
modern art's a CIA psyop. That's the big takeaway
Also,
here.
side note, did you watch the footage of Metallica playing in Russia? That is one of the most fucking insane pieces of footage, because that still holds the record for largest audience,
I think
right?
so.
Yeah. Well, because they were yearning for like Western media, Western products. Like they wanted Coke so bad that they made the deal with Pepsi. Yeah. That Pepsi had the 7th largest navy in the world.
Do you know the story behind that? Like how that started?
I do, and I was trying to trigger you on that.
No, not the Navy part. No, I love the story of how it started. I just don't like the conflation about the Navy. So the whole story...
You're telling me that Pepsi couldn't have taken over the world with their massive Navy?
No, it was just scrap. It was bullshit. But the story behind it was that Gorbachev came over to America to tour American supermarkets, and like they straight up took him to a normal fucking supermarket.
No,
and it was just like well stocked, and he's like, okay, this is propaganda. He's like, we do this shit to America all the time. You know, whenever we're going to show off, we make sure it's a good supermarket, you know? But it was just a normal supermarket to the Americans. And he was like
Kroger's.
He was super unimpressed by everything we had to offer. And then like, they're like, here, try this Pepsi. And he tried it. And he's like, holy fuck, this is delicious. And then that's like the whole reason. It's like, that's what won him over.
And now he's doing, well, not now, in the 90s, then he's doing Pizza Hut commercials.
Bro, I bring that up in my video.
Really?
That's like the whole full circle of my video, because it's like the culture war by, you know, leveraging American music and American art is what actually saved the world from nuclear war. Because it was mutually assured destruction from the beginning, right? But by the time the USSR needed to fall, they didn't want mutually assured destruction because they didn't want to destroy America. They wanted to be America.
Yeah.
Everybody was wearing blue jeans, going to fucking Metallica concerts, checking out Jackson Pollock paintings.
Yeah, I mean, look, it worked in Iran for a while.
So you're saying capitalism saved the entire world?
It's pretty dope. When you have a market that like lets the people determine what they actually want, people tend to fucking like it, actually, believe it or not.
Crazy concept.
It's wild.
So weird.
I know that's complicated.
Concept.
Anyways.
Yeah, autistic minds think alike.
I love the fact that Gorbachev did a Pizza Hut commercial.
That's one of my favorite facts of fucking modern history.